Name of the song. What song is this? 16. Green Day. Thanks, Toad. No. Yo, what up, Toad? How are you, man? Still? Really? Still? Test. We're testing the mic now. Sorry about this. Test. We're testing the mic now. Sounds great. I don't know if it's just the music. What is this song called? I hear it. I hear it, man. Sorry, man. Oh, you know what it is? I think I know what it is. I know what it is. I think. Hopefully it's better now. I put a fan. I think it went overheats. It does that. Aw. Thank you, bro. Thank you for being here, man. I appreciate that. I don't know what the song is either. Road to Acceptance. These fucking chords suck. These chords really fucking suck. Like, why don't you just write them in the fucking normal way? do a couple more songs. I've never played like half of these songs, so I got all the notes here.
the brown acid because it was the best shit. Can't do the crime, don't do the time. Wait a minute. What's in the back? I'm just fixing. Look at you fucking dirty motherfuckers. Yippee! Can you do one thing for me and I swear to God I'll leave you alone? Starting on that side, can you do the wave? This ain't a fucking baseball game. What the hell? Oh, okay, thanks. Oh, this is off one of our records that no one has.
Do one more. She. Alright, last song, I think. Last song. Alright, we'll do one more song. We'll play one more. What do I want to play? Yeah, I guess we'll play She. I don't know why it sounds so slow after American Idiot. It's so slow.
I'm gonna say goodbye. I gotta say goodbye. I gotta say goodbye now. I gotta say goodbye. I'm gonna go home and get on my big wheel. I'm gonna get on my big wheel. No, I'm gonna get on my bicycle. No, I'm not gonna get on my scooter. No, my scooter. No, I'm gonna get on my bicycle. I'm gonna get on my Tonka truck. I'm gonna get my Tonka truck. I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna go down the strip. I'm gonna smash up against the window. I'm gonna smash up against the window. Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna go smash up against one. Because I got pet rock. I got pet rock too. I got pet rock. It's really cool. I got a pet rock. It's rolling. It's like a horse stone. It's horse stone. You take it. You worry. You worry. You worry. You worry. You worry. You rub it. You worry. You worry. You worry. What about the megaliths? Do we see that in the Maya world? Well, yes, we do. But they're harder to find because they're in these very small, obscure Maya villages that you have to go down these infinitely long dirt roads just to get to. And on top of that, in a lot of these places, you're out in a region that is so remote that people go from
in some places in Mexico speaking a little bit of English, mostly Spanish. You get more remote, they speak Spanish, but they also speak Maya. Then you get to the point out here in these obscure villages where they just only speak Maya. Some of these people don't even speak Spanish. So you're talking about getting very, very far out into these obscure indigenous villages in the jungle before you see things like this. And this is why sites like this and monuments like this and these Maya megaliths haven't made it into popular culture yet. So one side I want to touch on that I thought would be good with pairing with the gigantic stelae that are at Calakmul is a site in Guatemala called Quirigua. Now, Quirigua was founded at some point between 200 BC and 200 AD. And while at this point erecting stelae was nothing new in the Maya world, when it got to Quirigua, it reached a new height, literally. So what these massive stelae that are being depicted at Quirigua are is they're kind of like obelisks. I call them stellists. They're cut on four sides, and from top to bottom, they are absolutely ridden with hieroglyphs with no wasted space whatsoever. At this site, you will see the tallest single standing monuments ever discovered in the Americas. So Maya stone artworks looks like Maya hieroglyphs placed next to what is just an artistic interpretation of an ancient lord or ruler, but it's much more complex than that. There is nothing in Maya art that is wasted space or simply designed for aesthetics. Every single piece of these artworks was once understood in an ancient knowledge that is lost to us. The feathers and ornaments that the headdresses depict, their footwear, the orientation of their feet, the position of their hands, the patterns stitched into their clothing, as well as the patterns floating above and around them, all of these symbols were meant to be read like a book. All of them. So unlike the rest of the Maya world, these stelae are carved from some of the hardest and densest sandstone found in the Americas, allowing the reliefs to have such an incredible amount of detail, but also making them very heavy. The largest stellisks weigh anywhere from 50 to 75 tons. One in particular is called Stela E. It is the largest single standing monument erected in the New World nearly 2,000 years ago, and it stands just shy of 40 feet tall. But there are other large monuments in Quirigua, including stelas A, B, C, and D, all weighing somewhere between 20 and 50 tons, as well as these bizarre megalithic zoomorphs. Maya stone monuments like this have only been discovered around this area of Guatemala, but they can be seen in the Olmec world and are also an ancient global phenomenon. These are gigantic boulders carved all the way around and even on the bottom, often considered to be some of the finest work ever completed by the Maya. It can be difficult to distinguish in photos, but these zoomorphs are up to 10 feet tall and 18 feet across, with a surface area of more than 45 squared meters on a single monument. We have no idea how far away these blocks were quarried or where they were carried from, because the jungle in the Maya world is just so dense it can bury 10-meter tall buildings in less than 500 years. And these monuments have been standing out here for almost 2,000. It may not be possible to identify the quarries any longer. Much like the transportation of the Olmec heads, we have no idea of how exactly these got here. And much like the Egyptian obelisks, we have no idea how they were erected to stand in place. Wow. I'm Luke Caverns. If you'd like to see more videos like this of us venturing off into the jungle and showing you things of ancient Maya sites that you've probably never seen before and giving you a really up close and gritty look into this world, well then please like and subscribe for more.
It's impossible to realize just how much we don't know about the ancient world until you're out there standing on the fringes of modern civilization, peering off into the jungle at ruins of huge cities only inhabited by the birds and snakes for nearly 2,000 years. I understood this feeling the first time I walked through the outer ruins of Palenque, a city made up of over 1,000 buildings with only 15 to 20 fully excavated and on display for the public. But it was really driving through the back roads of Quintana Roo, near the ancient city of Zibanche, that I got the overwhelming sense of just how much there is left to discover.
So right now, about to get some footage of this these covered ruins. I don't think an aerial shot like this has ever been taken before. I was just looking out the window during our 2 to 3 hour drive, and as we got further and further away from the modern city, I began to notice, oh, there's a pyramid in that field, and another one, and there's another one, and another one, and another one. This went on for hours, and the deeper we ventured into the remote backwoods of Mexico, the more common these untouched pyramids were. As we began getting closer to Gyges, I saw out of the left side of our car a small city sitting in the middle of a field right by the road. So I'm about to fly my drone and take some photos and videos of this area to document for you guys. I don't think it's ever been named, ever been documented before. It's just sitting on current day Maya farmland. Very likely the people who tend these fields are the descendants of the ancient Maya themselves who once lived here. The structures at this site I estimated ranged anywhere from 15 to 40 feet tall, the lower house mounds being around 15 feet, and the larger main pyramid being somewhere around 40 feet tall, I would estimate. It was complete with multiple house mounds, a large pyramid, and a central plaza in the middle. The farmland it sits on is probably owned by the descendants whose ancestors built these ancient structures, still raising maize and other staple Maya crops 2,000 years later. In fact, the earliest dates of this small city, as well as the surrounding area, may date back over 4,000 years, as the earliest evidence of habitation of the area around Gyges goes back to the early pre-classic period of 2000 BC or earlier. The Maya world was one of the most densely populated areas of all of the ancient Americas. It had 3 times the population of medieval Europe during medieval Europe's heyday. And this is just a really good example of that. This is very likely, the structures are so large. This one over here it has a giant tree growing down the middle of it. Likely the roots grow all the way from the top, or they've grown all the way from the bottom up through the top, sprouted a tree on top. It's just another example of the immense population that is in the Maya world, of which most people have no idea of. So we were driving down the road. I had to immediately stop us, look out the right side window, and I see this enormous pyramid behind me. No name, it's not documented, it's not listed on any charts or maps, never been mapped before, never even been excavated. I guarantee you this is a generational temple that's been here for well over 1,000 years. Probably some kind of lords, maybe a king buried inside of this, potentially a temple up top. It's just another example of the insane population throughout the Maya world, and just how many lost cities are left to be discovered, documented, officially located, officially charted, mapped. We have to learn everything that we can about the ancient world, and the age of exploration is not over like so many people say. This is 100% proof of that. Unfortunately, without the permission of the local Maya owners of this land, I did not want to jump the fence and explore these ruins on foot, although that's something that I would love to come back in the future and do. The important thing about dealing with many of these ancient cultures in the Americas is that these are living cultures today. And there are many, many millions of people still participating in these ancient American practices today. The Maya are still around, and they still worship many of the same gods that the ancient Maya did, especially Chak, the rain god. A few months ago, I actually witnessed a ceremony deep in the jungles of the Yucatan where a Maya elder prayed to the rain god Chak. And sure enough, it started raining about 15 minutes later. I honestly have no idea how you explain that. But unlike the cultures of ancient Egypt, Persia, or Greece and Rome, of which these cultures are almost extinct, many of the cultures of the ancient Americas, such as the Aztecs, the Maya, the Zapotecs, the Mixtecs, and so many of the Mississippian cultures, as well as the Inca and Tiwanaku cultures of South America, plus who knows how many others. These people are still around today in the millions, and when you're operating in these areas, it's especially important to be mindful of that. Now, this type of city layout involving the U-shaped square plazas with long-range structures, house mounds and a principal larger pyramid is a city shape that can be seen from the northernmost sites of Mesoamerica, creeping all the way up into modern-day Texas and the American Southwest, to as far south as Colombia, Ecuador, and Peru in South America. Even recently, new LiDAR scans in the Ecuadorian jungles have revealed thousands of city layouts with plazas almost identical to this one. And just like looking at the evidence of widespread trade into the very early days of the Bronze Age, I think that the ancient Americas were much more widely connected than we currently give them credit for. A simple example of this would be the gold treasures found in Tomb 7 at Monte Alban, a Zapotec city in modern-day Oaxaca. This tomb was filled with gold artifacts that are clearly either traded from or inspired by trade with the El Dorado cultures of South America. Now, I use the term El Dorado pretty loosely here, but you get what I mean. But even today, a cultural connection between these areas of the Americas is not officially acknowledged or even heavily considered, which I don't really understand. I mean, you would think that discoveries like that linking two distant cultures together would be something that's groundbreaking, or at least something that archaeologists would be excited about. But in the Zapotec world, at least, you don't really see specifically the excitement of perhaps the Zapotecs were wealthy enough to have established trade networks all the way down to South America. The only plausible explanation that I can see is if you end up concluding that the culture that you're studying, the Zapotecs in general, were actually in contact with cultures in South America and perhaps owned artifacts that come from South America, perhaps through some way of litigation that is opening up the door to South American archaeologists having the right to have a say or dominion over the archaeological site that you're working at. So because of modern day politics, the best thing to do is just ignore that. I've seen that at one archaeological site in particular in Veracruz, and I have heard that a very similar thing is going on at the site of Tiwanaku and Pumapunku, which are really just the same archaeological site. Anyways, I say all that to say that sometimes when I'm driving or traveling between two Maya cities that are sort of in the same area, including this small site near Zibanche, I could give it its own name and treat it like it's its own unique archaeological site with its own identity, but in reality, it's probably just an offshoot of the main city of Zibanche, as the pyramids and other ancient structures in the entire surrounding area just crawl out in this huge web for miles and miles and miles. The ancient Americas are a gigantic web of ancient cities that fade and blend into each other. And just to prove this point, in the next video we'll be exploring a lost city that has not been touched by anybody but looters. That's about a 45-minute drive north of Calakmul into the jungle. And this city was full of about 16 to 18 gigantic pyramids that I think is still within the city boundaries of Calakmul itself. As during this whole 45-minute drive north, I saw nothing but pyramid after pyramid after pyramid after pyramid in the jungle, leading all the way up to this city that we came across. It's been a real pleasure to premiere this series, Jungle of Stone, to you guys. I had the best time filming it, and I hope that this series has shown you that the age of exploration is far from over. Okay, so we're in the middle of the Kitana Roo jungle on top of the Maya pyramid at Zibanche. And what I wanted to do today is just kind of show you guys what life for a royal family inside of the Maya world, or potentially the Khan dynasty, may have been like on top of an ancient pyramid. You got these columns in the middle. There would have been a roof here at one time, but it's since collapsed, or possibly was even destroyed during the end of its time. And of course, your regular layman people would have never been allowed up here. This would have been typically royal people, or maybe even people who were coming up here to be sacrificed. So come on and join me up here. Next, I'll be showing you what an ancient royal Maya homestead would have looked like on top of an ancient temple during its day, or at least what it looks like after it's been sitting in the jungle for nearly 2,000 years. So right where I'm standing is probably the remnants of an ancient Maya royal homestead. As you can see, we have the arched roofs, we have the windows allowing the breeze to come through. There would have been a bed here. There would have been costumes for ancient rituals here. So one of the things you'll notice in a lot of these royal palaces or temples is that the walls are incredibly thick. Now that's not just for structural support, it's very hot here in the jungles of Quintana Roo, or really the Yucatan Peninsula as a whole. All of the Maya world is very hot, very humid. So these thick walls, and as you can see over here, these thick walls helped keep the heat out, kept it cool during the day and even cooler at night. So I'll show you more inside the interior of the temple as well. So when you're seeing this for the first time, you might be thinking a royal family ruling over, you know, part of the Khan dynasty or part of any ancient Maya dynasty. This might be a pretty small, narrow home for them. Well, the purpose for that is there are windows all throughout here that allow the breeze to flow through. So this actually would have been a very luxurious place that anybody would have loved to have. Big, thick walls insulating the palace, keeping everything nice and cool during the day. This would have been a place that you could hang out even during the hottest, most humid days and stay relatively cool, at least for ancient times. So where would people in a royal Maya family have slept? Well, they would have slept on artificial beds. Sometimes they would have slept on stone beds, or sometimes these are called stone benches. Now, they would have, of course, been cushioned, but we can only assume that at one time these would have very likely been beds for royal people to sleep on. So these wooden beams that you see above me in the arched doorways, these are original beams. They've been here for just about 1,000 years, maybe even pushing 1,500 years now. Those are the original beams. And of course, as you can guess, they would have been used for storage. They would have been used to support the roofs as well. But most of the time when you come and see ancient Maya ruins and you see these wooden beams in the arched ceilings, that's the original wood
what's up?
placed there by ancient
What's up,
Maya.
hey Pocono? How are you, brother?
So over here in this flat area overlooking the rest of the city, it can't be proven, but it's probably pretty likely that there were sacrificial rituals being performed right here. You know, people's heads being cut off, their hearts being ripped out, sacrifice to the god Kukulkan, Chak. It could be any plethora of gods. It's not really something that we can prove, but very likely there were sacrifices being performed here at one time,
buddy.
potentially even right here, for the rest of the city of Sabanche to see. One of the final things I want to show you is at the back interior of the center of the palace.
I do, my
or
friend.
The top of this royal
I'm
temple
smoking right now. I'm vaping right now.
something that's pretty enigmatic, and its meaning hasn't been fully appreciated thus far. It's not even fully understood. But these T-shaped windows that are 100% intentional can be seen all over the ancient Americas, from North America to Central America, even South America. The purpose behind these and the significance is not yet known. Perhaps it's astronomical, perhaps it is esoteric or symbolic of some sort. But this is just something I wanted to show you. So there's a whole wide range of architectural styles and building styles throughout the world of Mesoamerica, specifically in the Maya world. But this is just one example of an ancient royal temple, or the top of a pyramid, or it could have even been used as a palace. These aren't all things that we can prove, but this is just an example of what the world of the ancient Maya would have been like for a royal family. It's pretty amazing.
No gains. No gains if you're lazy. So fucking true, Z's. So fucking true.
So, we're on top of the Maya pyramid of Bekon. It's an ancient Maya city in the middle of the jungles of Campeche. Earliest estimates are about 550 BC were the first inhabitants to live here, and it wouldn't reach its height for another 1,000 years. And even beyond that, people lived here for another 600 years. This pyramid and the pyramids surrounding here have some of the greatest architectural art styles found anywhere throughout the ancient Maya world. This is one of the greatest spectacles of the Rio Bec art style. Incredibly intricate architecture. Incredibly fine stonework on the casing stones. Look at these casing stones. Some of the finest stonework you see anywhere in the ancient world. On the exteriors of the temples, it would have been painted a bright red with cinnabar. This would have been an immaculate place to be from. What we're standing in right now is very likely the king's courtyard. If you look up here, perhaps right there is a better example. These inner chambers right here have vaulted ceilings, so they would have arched over. It's the same thing over here.
I think it's here. Here. Let me do.
But there's no evidence that I can see.
Let me do
that
it.
The squared off area that we're standing in right now ever had a ceiling. So I'm guessing that this was like an Acropolis garden courtyard in the middle. But over here, I'll show you, just like we've seen before, very likely the king's chamber. Come on. So we got a bench. You know, perhaps food would have been made over here. Perhaps there would have been a shrine. Up here would have been the king's bed.
Come on, man.
He would have had an incredible view of his city. He would have been able to see pyramids all the way around. All of this jungle foliage would have been cleared out. And down here, in the corner of his room. Also, another thing I should point out. Notice the trapezoidal pyramids, or the trapezoidal doorways, how the walls lean in on each other. This is something that we see in ancient Peru at the ancient Inca sites. It's perhaps evidence that there were merchants coming back and forth between Mesoamerica and South America, trading ideas with each other. It's not commonly accepted that that was happening, but we see little hints of that all throughout the Maya and the Inca world. But the king would have been able to stand up here and address his subjects from above. If you look off into the distance, you can see a pyramid rising just over the canopy. Right now we're going to head inside the chamber that I first saw when we arrived. Most likely, this area would have been potentially just a homestead or a room to avoid the heat and the humidity, but also this seems symbolic. When you walk in here, it does seem ritualistic. So, definitely a bed or a bench here of some kind. People were certainly coming in here to avoid the heat. These walls, if you show right here, 3.5 feet thick, insulates it, helps keep all of the heat out. It's very hot and humid here right now. As soon as we walk in, I can feel that cool air coming through. This is the opening to the chamber we saw. Insanely tall, insanely detailed architecture here. The Rio Bec style is unlike anything seen in the Maya world. The murals are encoded into the walls. The pyramids themselves are scaling almost straight up.
Oh no, come
like having
on,
to climb
man.
up a pyramid.
Come
rather
on,
than just
no,
walk
I
up
love
the
gay
steps.
people. I love and respect homosexuals in a platonic way.
I I think almost certainly these inner chambers are meant for a ritualistic purpose. Not always do I buy the story that they made these walls so thick and made these dark tunneling labyrinths to resemble Xibalba, the Maya underworld, or to be symbolic of caves. You know, these were scientific people who were very intelligent, and of course when they went inside caves, they knew that big, thick, insulated walls that caves have, of course, provide a cool, cold, damp area to escape the heat. However, here, it's very obvious that rituals are being performed here. I think that, look at this right here on the ground. There are still Maya people here today coming and performing rituals. Probably the bone of a small bird of some kind being sacrificed here. This is 100% evidence that Maya rituals, sacrifices, are still being performed today. Look at all of these bones. Wow. People have been performing sacrificial rituals to the god Chak or Kukulkan in this city for 2,500 years. I can't believe we found these. This is still happening today. Wow. All right, let's continue. So, a royal priest or anybody in the royal family would have ascended out of Xibalba and been in their grand garden. This is amazing. Next thing, I want to take you guys down and show you where all of the high priests, potentially the lords, serving the king living up here would have lived. To do that, we've got to go back down the pyramid's staircases. So, one of the things I was noticing when we're walking down these steps is look at how perfectly, almost symmetrical and uniform all of the blocks are. A lot of times in the Maya world, the jungle grows so densely over the ruins that, like I've said so many times, the roots grow into the blocks and they rip the blocks apart. And many times they end up looking like this out here, where the casing stones have been pulled apart by the jungle foliage and all you see is the mortar and rubble beneath. But look at this right here. A lot of times the Maya don't get credit because they didn't move megaliths or they didn't usually move big blocks. Well, a lot of times that is a misconception because a lot of the big blocks have been torn apart and they're laying scattered around in the jungle. And over the last several hundred years, Spanish communities come in and they quarry the blocks because they're already carved, quarry the blocks and use them in their cities. But here we see some perfectly preserved blocks. Look at the stone masonry here. This would have all been an extremely vibrant red painted with cinnabar. So this entire pyramid that you're seeing would have been gleaming red with accents of green and blue. We might be able to see some of the red right here. I'm not sure if it shows up on camera, but it could be barely popping through. Let's walk over to this side. Look at this. Excellent stone masonry going down. Huge blocks on the casing stones. But over time, very likely, when this site was rediscovered by explorers around the turn of the century, there were probably trees growing all the way up on top of the pyramid. It could have looked like a huge mountain. Becomes excavated, the casing stones have been ripped off. I mean, these pyramids have probably been excavated, quarried, and then the foliage has grown over them multiple times in its history. Look at these steep staircases. Look at the stone mason work for every step. This may have just been a symbolic staircase for, design work. But it's the Rio-Bec art style is something beyond anywhere that I've personally seen in the Maya world. Look at that. That's just a remnant of how bright red these would have been. It's a bit darker than it likely would have been in its day, but this entire pyramid would have been a gleaming red. Imagine when the sun is setting and it's shining on the pyramid, it would have gone from a bright red during the day to this dark, burnt red. You would have had incense and pots sitting up on top of the pyramid, fires lit. It would have been an amazing place to see. Look at these nooks back there. This could be evidence of multi-stage construction. Perhaps this right here was the front of the pyramid at one time. Staircases coming down, another part of the building added on. Check this out. So what a lot of times when you're at Maya pyramids, or when you're at Maya sites, what a lot of people see are just the pyramids standing like this. But look at the flat ground that we're on. This right here, this whole city, the main plaza of the city is standing on a pyramid. Evidence of right here. This isn't a modern staircase. This is an ancient staircase. This entire city, all 4 pyramids in the main part of this plaza are standing on top of a larger pyramid platform. If this was taken into consideration, many of the Maya sites are some of the biggest pyramids anywhere in the entire world, sometimes by far. So coming up here on the back side of Big Khan, you can swing over here and show the rest of the pyramid. That's the pyramid that we were just on top of. And on the back side of the pyramid is very likely the housing for all the high priests and lords and maybe the extended royal family. So we'll start over here and we'll go that way. So a lot of the interiors of the buildings, it's not dissimilar to things that we've seen before, but in the Riobec art style, or the architectural style, we have these murals. These are intricate murals that we really don't see as much of, or as much of a prominence of, in many other ancient Maya sites. So in here, this would have been the place of a royal family of some kind, or a high priest or lord. You'd have beds on this side, you'd have a cache potentially for an offering or for storage. Potentially under here you'd have something as well. There's something living down there. Over here you'd have another bed, another cache. And then coming up here, you probably have the patriarch and the matriarch of the family with their giant bed here. And a cache, potentially for storage or for offerings as well. We'll come over here. A lot of it is much as the same, or a lot of it is much of the same. In here we see almost the same thing, but we don't see any beds. Could this be indicative of this being that same family's storage area, or was this just a home with no beds at all? A lot of these things we can't necessarily prove.
Come on, man.
Right here, you can show this.
Come on, man.
You can see the rounded corners on the end. This is pretty unique to this area of the Maya world. Definitely was showing the extremely skilled stonemasons that once lived here. One thing that I love about the Riobec art style, architectural style, is all of these ruins have little nooks and crannies. It's not uniform across
Night
any
sleepover,
site.
that's
It's
sick,
never
bro.
the same. This is surely indicative
Hell
of
yeah.
there being some kind of ancient blueprints, ancient, perhaps an architectural guild or an architect's guild. Every site is a little bit different than the other. And this site, above all, I think might be the most complex that I've seen in person thus far. From here we have a triad of chambers. Probably the chambers of the high priest. He would have had the holy family or the royal family living atop the pyramid. Over here on this side we see murals of ancient Maya deities. Very well preserved. This is the precipice of ancient Riobec art style. It's only seen mostly, for the most part, in this area of Campeche. But we see the inspiration of it in other Puc region sites as well. But this would have been the inner chamber of some kind of Maya lord, likely a high priest.
Yep.
You can see, very well preserved
Facts.
is that bright red cinnabar paint that would have
I think the only time I'm
the
not
entire
like
structure.
vaping is when I'm sleeping and literally lifting
Look
weights.
at the
Like
size of these blocks.
actually doing the action of lifting weights.
This would have all been stone roofing as well. But over time, very likely at one point in time, this structure was covered over by the jungle, trees grow down inside the chambers, rip the blocks apart, and the roofs fall through. And then when it's all excavated, the rubble is taken out. Very likely up on top as well, there was another chamber with an outer wall and a roof on top of it as well. And all of that came crashing down at one point in antiquity after the fall of the Maya. So headed up into another residential chamber here. We see another bench or a bed. And then right here we see, these could be benches or beds. They could just be decorated staircases. We see a wheel. We see these trapezoidal upside down triangles angling down. See more Rio Beck designs here. And then extending further into a chamber. If you guys are ever in Campeche, Rio Beck, Maya area, you have to come check out Big Con. This is probably some of the most detailed, most intricate ancient temples that I have ever seen anywhere in the Maya world. So we're here in the middle of the Quintana Roo jungle, just outside of the ancient city of Zabanche. What I want to do is take you guys all the way around this complex I found. It's completely buried by the jungle, but you can still see it very easily. Come this way, and I'll show you. You can see a small temple complex coming up here. Now, these longer structures, these are indicative of the late classic to early post-classic era. So it continues on down this way.
God, I can't
You can
type.
see that this
So this
plaza
keyboard,
structure,
guys, I'm not like retarded. This keyboard is smaller than a normal keyboard. I'm gonna have to show you. This is the reason why I'm literally, I'm not retarded. Like, let me show you.
even right here on the ground. Check this out. Blocks tumbling down from the keyboard.
Like, I spent like 20 years typing on it, and this
People
is
don't
the
realize-
mobile one with the mouse. Let me show you.
Is that
Hey, there's
jungle?
dogs.
Hey there, boys. Okay. You can keep going. Are you filming? Hey, buddy. Well, we found some ancient Maya dogs in the jungles here in Mesoamerica. But all through these jungles, people don't realize it. It's a pincushion for ancient cities. Everywhere
you.
you
Let
drive,
me show you. It's too
you
small. Let me
look off
turn.
into these fields and you
on
see ancient
bigger
Maya
one.
mounds and cities. You can see the city
Oh, wow,
structures,
really?
the landscapes. Hey boys, all right, keep following me. We're gonna go all the way around them.
I mean, obviously, I'm not gonna make any typos now. I'm focusing it. You know what I mean, though. But
Even up above me, you can see this is probably
yeah,
a
this one is pretty sweet, but there's no
50-foot
mouse.
pyramid ascending, mostly covered by the jungle foliage. I mean, we have trees that are
the
hundreds
same
of
one
years
Kratos
old
has.
growing on top of these temples. Keep following me down here. This
K400R.
is only halfway through the city complex. Look up there. This is all one continuous structure. Make sure you're always watching out for snakes when you're going through the jungles of Mesoamerica. In the United States, we don't have as many insanely potently venomous snakes as we do here in Central America or Mexico. The fertilance of which
K545 is the
is almost
full-size
is
logic.
said to be sometimes as 3 times as venomous
But it
as
also
the
has a,
Western diamondback rattlesnake or
a
the Eastern
numbers
diamondback
pad
rattlesnake.
for
The
French,
last snake you want to get bit by.
French accents.
Keep going. Right up there on the corner of that complex, you can really see the blocks kind of peeking through. We're about halfway through the city now. Or maybe not a city, but this is a plaza complex. Right here, temple kind of falls down, meshes into a lower structure, and then it comes back up. You can see from here all the way, pan over there, all the way back over there. This has all been one complete structure, completely covered up by the jungle. Keep going this way. Now, as I'm standing here thinking about it, I'm realizing that this is kind of like a U-shaped plaza, like things that we see in the Corral Supe culture in the sacred Peru Valley. like we see at Shavin de Hontar, like we see at Tiwanaku in South America. I'm not saying that there is a connection here, but it's possible that merchants and
I
traders
use so many
came
friggin'
from
ad
South
blockers.
America
Like this is
up into
like,
Central America into what is modern day Mexico, and that these structural
God.
alignments, that these structural architectural styles
I hate the
last
internet.
throughout the centuries.
In the year
And it seems about here,
2035, Walmart.
this is where the structure ends.
Come on, man.
So this is one complete U-shaped complex. Pan back around this way. It's one U-shaped complex all the way around.
Walmart.
Massive
Why no one
temples. You
likes
can
their
only
fucking
imagine what this
website?
would have looked like in its
One
heyday.
star, bro.
Painted red with
13
cinnabar, potentially
reviews.
painted blue and green as well.
I don't
The
know,
blue
man.
Maya paint, the source of that has never actually been discovered before. I
For
can't
me, I
imagine what
don't
this would
know,
have
though.
looked like in its heyday. This central plaza area, flattened out, would have been a market during the day, possibly also a
Doesn't
place
seem like
for
he has a
the
lot of resistance.
rulers or the divine Maya councils to address the subjects of the Maya world. All surrounding here are big open farmland
Look at this one.
where Maya
This
people
is-
would have farmed and raised maize, corn,
I
avocados,
don't know,
other
man.
crops. It's amazing. Sites like this are literally scattered all throughout the
bit
Yucatan
sucks.
Peninsula, potentially millions of them. It's amazing.
And bag doesn't stand up straight and leans. Leaked water overnight on my bedroom mats. Fill it with water. Oh, you can't see what I'm looking at. Sorry, bro. Oh, more heavy duty one. I think that's the one I was looking at. Yeah, that was the one. I don't know. Not for me. Interesting though. Maybe if I like used it
So,
in person, I'd
As
change
you
my
can see
mind.
right behind
but
me, it's why it's so nearly impossible to find
Cool,
these
man.
giant,
I don't know. I
colossal
don't know if
lost
you'd be
cities
happy
in the
with that.
middle
Would you
of the
fill it
Maya
with, fill it
jungles.
with water?
Off in the distance over there is one of the biggest Maya pyramids ever built. And you can only see
This
the
is
very
foam?
top structure of it.
What is it?
When you're
What's it
flying
made
over
of?
in a plane, you're looking down. These look like giant hills or small
There's no
mountains.
reviews.
Right now we're in the second largest rainforest in the entire world, the northern Petén, but on the Mexican side of it. Second only to the Amazon. Even walking around this archaeological site, the pyramid that we're standing on, we couldn't even see it when we were more than 100 yards away. It's completely covered up by the jungle foliage. Almost impossible to find these sites.
Alright, let's get
You
started.
need airplanes, LiDAR. Going around solely on foot isn't going to cut it. It wasn't until the 1980s that archaeologists actually were able to determine that this city was the great Calakmul itself, the starter, the catalyst of all of the wars of the Petén and the Maya world. One of the greatest mighty kingdoms of all of the Maya world right here. And the jungle has eaten away at it and eroded all of the stela, or all of the stelae that are around the city. Its history was almost completely destroyed by the rainforest. One of the reasons that the Maya built pyramids this colossal was, one, to escape the hot weather, humidity, and the mosquitoes that plague the jungles of Central America and Mexico. Secondly, was also very likely in these flat lowland regions, very likely for defense. I mean, in the evenings, you'd be able to see smoke pluming out from the jungle if you had approaching tribes or strange tribes coming to attack you. It was also to study astronomy. I mean, these are some of the biggest skies that you're going to be seeing anywhere in the world. You would be able to see stars as soon as they come over the horizon. That's why all of these cities are astronomically aligned to certain astronomical bodies. But there's one other thing I want to show you. The oldest Maya city found, known as El Mirador, they think may be the Fertile Crescent of the Maya world, and it can actually be seen from the Great Pyramid at Calakmul, right up here. Now it's tough to see, but I'll show you where you can see it. right this way, peering south into the deeper Petén rainforest, you can barely see the ancient Maya city of El Mirador. Dates back to around and just before 200 BC. Estimated or thought to be the Fertile Crescent of the Maya world. A colossal city with giant pyramids, much bigger here than at Calakmul. And you can barely see it peering over the horizon here. And in between here and there, it's about 43 kilometers out. There's an innumerable amount of cities. Between here and El Mirador, which is south just barely to the west, and all west to east, there's an unknown amount of cities. It's an uncharted jungle that has never fully been explored. There has been no aerial surveys, no LiDAR surveys of this area. And just between Tikal and El Mirador in a straight line, they found upwards of 5 to 6 cities alone. That's in a straight line, not charting east or west. You can only imagine what lies in the jungles far south of Calakmul. One of the reasons it's so hard, another reason it's so hard to find these giant Maya cities deep in the jungles of the Petén is because the rainforest claims back everything that man has built. Look how high up we are on this pyramid. And there's a colossal, I think that this is a ceiba tree growing into the pyramid. At one point in time before this site began excavation, this entire pyramid, the exterior, for the most part, would have looked a lot like this. Incredibly dense jungle. A pyramid this size, the sides that aren't excavated, you can't see it until you've reached its base and you're standing at the foot of the pyramid. Imagine ascending off through the Petén jungle out here, trying to find a lost city of some kind. It'd be next to impossible. It makes me imagine the type of stone structures that we could see in the center of the Amazon when you're moving in from the west and into the central of the Amazon, where you hit stone, where it goes from clay bedrock to stone bedrock. There was certainly ancient stone cities, perhaps similar to this, that Francisco de Orellana certainly saw and that he documented when he was going down the Amazon River and its tributaries. So there's one more thing I want to show you on these giant pyramids here at Calakmul. If you look over there, you can see the one that we were just on. I think we can get a bit better of a view of the ancient city of El Mirador from the top of this pyramid. So if we stand here and we look off just to the southwest, we might be able, from here, we might be seeing just a glimpse of El Mirador, one of the most mysterious, certainly the most significant ancient city of the pre-classic era, reaching its height around 200 BC, maybe just a bit before that. It's amazing how completely remote this jungle is, but yet at the same time, all around us, just beneath the canopy. It's very likely that there are thousands more temples just beyond what's known. Over the last couple days, in the last few episodes, we've been at sites that have, like Bekan, have just a few hundred structures. I believe Bekan is estimated to be about 400 structures in total, whereas Calakmul has an estimated 6,000 structures that have been detected on LiDAR, and that's just what they know of. That's just within this small range, where you see these first horizons off in the distance. But beyond that, there's undoubtedly more cities. It's just a pinhole all throughout this area with almost no room left for more pins to be added. You could walk in a straight line, and by the time you reach the end of the jungle, you would have certainly hit 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 structures in total. At least you would see a city of some kind. It's estimated that only 1% of Mesoamerica has been studied properly. And it's estimated that around 60% of Mesoamerica hasn't even been named or charted yet. And it's interesting that people say that the age of exploration has ended. But as I stand here in the middle of the Petén, the northern Petén, I don't even think exploration in this area has really begun yet. There's so much more left to see. It's been estimated that it might take 300 more years to fully understand just the sites that have been located. Imagine everything else that's out there in the jungle. So I think we spent enough time up on the top of these colossal pyramids here at Calakmul. We're gonna head down and I'm gonna show you just how many ancient structures lie buried beneath the sediment, beneath the canopy of the Petén rainforest. So a lot of times, if you go down into the outskirts of archaeological sites and you look and see what more primitive sites look like, it looks like stairways just appear out of the side of a hill, or that they fade into the side of a hill. Look at how much, if you show right here, I mean, how would you even know that this was an archaeological site walking by and it only looks like this? Now, it's not the case for every single site, but it's certainly the case for many sites. Also, look at this right here. When a lot of people say that the Maya didn't move megaliths, in some cases I beg to differ. That is a huge, huge stone. Here's another huge cornerstone down here. And in the back, it seems to be very rare, but the Maya certainly did move megaliths. And it's only at places like here at Calakmul that as we do more and more excavations that go back further and further into time, we're going to see what so many archaeologists have been saying, that the Maya moved their biggest stones at the very beginning of their civilization. Let's keep going. So last thing I want to show you guys is even here at Calakmul, with the estimated 6,000 structures at this ancient city, the vast majority of them are completely unexcavated. Look at this temple right here. As you can see, countless amount of trees and vines are growing into the pyramid, ripping the blocks apart from each other. Huge tree over there, pretty big tree here. This probably goes, I don't know, what do you think, 30 meters that way? And it's maybe 10 meters tall.
Yeah.
Much bigger than a house mound. Could have been a, this could be the corner of a plaza of some kind. Let's find out. Because if we get up to this top and we see more pyramidal structures on the other side, that means this is a corner of a plaza. Watch out for snakes. And we're doing this all without snake boots, which is probably dumb, but that's part of it, I guess. But about as I thought. If you kind of pan the camera around a little bit, come step over here. Pan the camera around. There's no way, if this is a plaza, which I think it is, if this goes flat and it flattens out here, it's either a three-sided plaza or a four-sided plaza. So very likely, as this goes straight, there might be another pyramidal structure or a platform going this way, another one coming that's parallel with this, or potentially another one right there. Let's go down a little bit further and see if we can tell. Watch out for snakes. Over here. I'm gonna throw up on the map how insanely far into the jungle we are right now. I mean, Eli, you can tell them, it's not possible to see other structures that are right next to us. The only structure that we can see is the structure that we're standing on. So, we're standing on what I think is very likely the flat part of a Maya plaza. But as I look around, I mean, the old phrase that it's not possible to see a pyramid that's more than 15 feet or 15 meters in front of you is so true, because the only pyramidal structure I can see is the one that we're standing on right now. But I think very likely there could be 2 or 3 others cornering this one, potentially one parallel. But this is why in these jungles it's almost impossible to find a lost city. You need a lead of some kind, maybe somebody who knows something somewhere off in the distance. But just heading off into the jungle straight without a clue of any kind, without identifying a major water source. There are reservoirs around Khalak Mul, so if we were to look in you know, satellite imagery of, you know, aerial viewing around the jungles of the Peten or the Lakandon jungle, which I want to do eventually, like I know about the Laguna Lakanha or Laguna Lakandon near Bonampak. That would be a great place to start, and then you start looking on the peripherals of that body of water. But just heading straight off into the jungle, it's going to be tremendously hard, because I mean, I'm pretty sure that there's a structure right there, but if you pan off,
I can't see anything at all. Middle of the Campeche jungle, just north of Khalak Mul, probably on the very outskirts of reach. You know, you're getting away from a mega metropolis of the Mayas and getting into a smaller.
Can't find any photos of it on Google, so this is going to be the very first time, I believe, that it's ever been documented. So, should be pretty cool.
So on the final day of our expedition, as we were leaving Khalak Mul, we got the chance to follow a local ranger to an archaeological site that had just been discovered because of looters and artifacts that had never been seen before ending up on the black market.
So, this right here is an ancient Choltun built by the Maya as a well, just like we build for ourselves today. So they would have been able to get water out of here. And when you're going through the jungle, this is this and aqueducts that you might find, but I don't think the aqueducts are here in Campeche, just north of the Peten rainforest. But Choltuns like this, these big holes in the jungle, are very indicative of a Maya site being somewhere nearby. We're gonna see the foothills of an ancient city first, and then we'll likely get into a larger center plaza. But I've never seen any photos of this site before. I have no idea what this is going to look like. A lot of times in these jungles, it really just depends on the environment. But if you pan around, this really isn't that dense. It kind of comes and goes in density. And I'm not 100% sure, I've never seen a study of this, if these, yeah, we see you, if these thinner areas of foliage are indicative of the Maya inhabiting this area and deforesting it to build their city, and it's just taken this long to grow back for whatever reason, or if it's just how the forest actually works. But not all the time is it really such a blinding trek through the jungle to find something. I would say my initial idea or thought would be that a lot of the foliage grows straight up into the air and that not so much grows on the jungle floor. I'm interested in seeing the state of these ruins that we come across. This could be a perfect look at essentially a virgin site. What an ancient city would look like when you first come across it. So, if you look right here, you can see small stone structures. I think this whole area that we're standing on right now is a stone structure. Potentially house mounds of some kind. So the Maya would have built a house like this, and then potentially built a thatch and wood hut on top of it. We're kind of at the foothills of Kalak Mul, so perhaps we're seeing the ruins of small Maya neighborhoods. Look at that. That's a structure that, see that tree growing on? That's a whole structure there. Actually, it looks like it goes down in there. Yeah, it's definitely a structure of some kind that tree is growing over. But we're definitely getting closer to the city now. You probably can't see. That is an enormous pyramid sitting in the middle of the jungle. Wow. Let's get closer.
What's the saying? What's the T?
Wow. See it from this side. See all this rubble. Goes all the way. Completely ruined there. All right, so now we're gonna walk around the base of it. And I think there may be a clearer entrance. We should probably stay with our party. Otherwise I would just scale it right now. I hope it shows up on video. This is a long range structure. I'm not even sure how long. Huge block tumbling down the side of the platform. These long range structures are indicative of the Terminal Classic. Maybe around 700 to 850 AD is when these began to be built, especially down here.
Now, these long-range structures are commonly found among sites that we attribute to the late Classic or late Classic terminal period of the Maya, which is somewhere around 750 to 800 AD.
This site is enormous. And this has never been documented on a large stage before. You can't Google this. You can't find this on YouTube. Amazing. Let's go up top. See if we can see if this is a, just like when we were at Kalak Mul, I bet you this is one side of a plaza because it goes down over there. So I bet you that this is either a platform or part of a platform, and on the other side we're going to be sitting in the middle of a plaza. Look at this. Top of this pyramid. This is what sites look like, virgin. Completely untouched in the last at least 1,200 years. Potentially longer than that. You want to go up? Okay.
Let's go.
Watch out for snakes. They like to bask on top of these rocks where the sunlight is. Wow. Did you get that on camera?
Of course. You told me I should record your death.
So we're about to be up at the top. I don't know anything about this site. I tried to read about it online, but I couldn't see anything done about excavations or surveys. I'm not sure if at the top of this temple or at the top of this pyramid there's going to be a temple or not, but it's worth seeing. Okay, so no way. That's a tomb.
get a good shot of it.
I think it's a, it's actually a looter's trench. Not a tomb. Did you hear those boulders that fell down? This is a looter's trench. So they dug out the side of this pyramid. They dug out the side of the pyramid looking for artifacts. Well, before I saw this, I was gonna say there's another peak up there. Let's turn it on. Okay, so this is something I'm not familiar with. I think I'm not quite familiar with what this structure is. I thought it was just a pyramid at first, but it seems like now it leads up to a flat plaza. Unless this is the top of a pyramid right here, because it looks like that slopes down. And that right there is the actual peak.
Now, this site is just north of Calakmul, which may mean that it was built at some time at the beginning of the Terminal Classic period, just after the fall of the Classical period, as the cultures are beginning to move from the Peten northward. But as I look back on what we found there, it's a bit of a conundrum. While we saw several long-range structures that again indicate the late Classic Maya, I also recognized that the construction of that larger pyramid was a copy of La Danta and El Tigre at El Mirador, which is located in Guatemala. However, that site is attributed to the pre-Classic Maya sometime around 200 BC, which is over 1,000 years older and believed to have been abandoned sometime around 100 AD. Which means that it's possible that this site that we found may have retained some kind of importance, which inspired this pyramid building style, even 1,000 years later. Or this site is actually 1,000 years older than Calakmul and is actually contemporaneous with El Mirador, putting it in that group with the oldest Maya cities ever discovered.
Be really, really careful here. This is the actual top of the pyramid. Watch out for snakes here. I think I see another looter's trench. Oh yeah.
This list is so ridiculous.
I think so. They were digging down into the trench, or they were digging this trench to try to find a tomb. There's no telling if they did actually find anything or not. I don't see any artifacts like on the surface. Wow. No telling when this was done. People who live out in the sticks in Campeche, they know about these sites out in the jungle. But they don't tell the government because, you know, they have opportunity to loot artifacts and sell them on the black market. So, look at the view from up here. You can only imagine what this would have been like. It's a lot cooler up here too. This is another trench right here.
No telling what anybody found if they did find anything. Can you see how steep this is right here? So what I'm thinking is, all right, we're in the middle of the Terminal Classic here. Possibly inspired by El Mirador. That's the feeling I'm getting from being up on this pyramid. Not nearly as large, but it feels like a pyramid with a platform on top that has two other temples above that. So they kind of angle in, it's flat, and there's a larger pyramid on the back. Like La Danta and El Tigre in Guatemala, which is just maybe, I don't know, 50 kilometers from here through the jungle as the crow flies. Look at this, a lot of exposed rock over here. You can see how the foliage has just ripped through the pyramid. This would have been excellently constructed at one point, but the limestone has just eroded over the last over 1,000 years. And it's just not nearly in the state that it once was. This would have all been painted a bright red at one time with accents of blue and green. But over 1,200 years of trying to be preserved in a rainforest, it looks like this. All right, let's go down and see what else we find. So over here, I think this might confirm what I was thinking about this type of structure. I see a sheer face right here. Oh my. Wow, this is a huge pyramid. Watch for snakes.
Holy.
Look how far down this goes. This is an enormous pyramid. It's exactly what I thought. I think that this is built exactly like El Mirador, just on a smaller scale. Can you see how far down that goes? This is a giant pyramid with 3 temples on top and a larger one in the center, with the largest one in the center. That's what we were just on top of, that we found the looter's trench on either side. And here's the sheer face off of the end. I don't even know how tall this is. Really tall though. Oh man. Okay, let's go back to the center plaza. See what else is on this side of the city. So right below us is the city plaza, I'm pretty certain. Wow, look up there. You can see the sheer face of the pyramid with the trees growing over it. It's amazing. So right now, I think that we're standing in the plaza. There's another pyramid over there. So what's crazy is I think we're standing in a plaza with a pyramid there. I can't see if there's any over there, but there's a pyramid there and a pyramid there. So we're either standing on the outside of a plaza or the inside of a plaza with a pyramid above it that has 2 pyramids on top of that, which isn't a typical Maya structure, but is kind of reminiscent of El Mirador. Sorry. No, you're good. I was telling them when we were up on top of this pyramid, I was trying to pay attention to the structure of it, and as we came off on this side, it gets flat at the top, and there's 2 smaller temples, and there's a 3rd one in the back in the middle. The only other place that you see that is La Danta and El Tigre at El Mirador.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, so with this not being too far from it, I'm thinking it's, yeah.
Now, there's only a few ways to know how old a certain archaeological site is. We have pottery. We can look at various pottery shards and try to use relative dating to estimate what era occupied the site based on the style and artwork of the pottery. And we have carbon dating, where we could theoretically carbon date the bodies that were buried here or bodies that were found here and get a rough idea of at least when these bodies were buried and at least how old this site must be. But unfortunately, we have never found any bodies at this site, as far as I know. And I didn't see any pottery fragments, but I really wasn't there long enough to get a decent look. So how do we date a site based on the fact that we have no pottery remains and no biological remains? Well, there's a number of other ways, but I think there's something here that really gives us a good hint. When I was climbing that main pyramid, I noticed that about halfway up, it led to a pyramidal platform. Imagine taking a pyramid and slicing the top half off so you have a pyramid that leads to a platform. That's what we call a pyramidal platform. And on top of that platform, there were 3 more smaller pyramids, one to the right, one to the left, and a larger one about twice as tall on the back side. And I immediately recognized this as a triadic pyramid complex. And this is a tradition of pyramid building that was at its height during the pre-classic period around 200 BC. Now, the pre-classic of the Maya is sort of like ancient Egypt's Old Kingdom. So in ancient Egypt, you have the Old Kingdom, you have the intermediate period, you have the Middle Kingdom, you have another intermediate period, and then you have the New Kingdom. Well, in the Maya world, it's exactly the same way. We have the pre-classic, then we have a terminal period, then we have the classic, another terminal period, and then the post-classic. So these triadic pyramid complexes were constructed in the pre-classic at the very beginning of Maya civilization. That's really exciting. And that's exactly the sense that I got. When I was standing on the pyramid, I felt like it was a smaller version of the La Danta and El Tigre pyramids at El Mirador, just some 50 miles away. But then I have to think, okay, is it possible that the Maya at this site actually were contemporaneous with Calakmul? So around 1,000 years after El Mirador, after the pre-classic. And is it possible that they were building these structures just to harken back to this legendary ancient time of the pre-classic Maya? That's possible, but I tried to rattle my brain of all the pyramids throughout the Maya world that I've seen, all of which have been classic era to post-classic era. I have never actually seen a triadic pyramid complex with my own eyes. Even among the great large pyramids at Calakmul, they are not really the iconic triadic pyramids that you see in the pre-classic era. And Occam's razor tells me that this may actually be a pre-classic Maya pyramid having its origins all the way back at the beginning of Maya civilization.
Okay, so we're on the back side of the plaza. And this pyramid is more sheer than the other one. So, guess we gotta go to the top since we're here. Watch out for snakes here. Oh, it goes up way further than you think. Oh my God. Look right here. Big looter's trench. Huge. I think there's another one over here to the left. Yep. Still rolling? Yeah. Yeah. Somebody's been here. Somebody's been in here looting around. Let's come over here. There's a bigger looter's trench. This is the biggest one at this site. So look up here. This was either once a room at one point with a chamber inside, or looters have come in, I don't know, sometime over the last 1,200 years and dug this all out looking for tombs. See if there's anything left. Looks more like a looter's trench to me. There's no uniform block laying here. So what we're looking at is Peten style temples that may have had a palace built on top that's crumbled in antiquity, or it was a giant temple with a thatch and wood home built on top that would have certainly been a palace to a royal family, a lord of some kind, maybe a shaman that lived up here, or perhaps this was purely ceremonial. Maybe we would know if there were any artifacts here that looters had left, but it's all pretty lost to history. Let's go up top, see if there's anything. I think this tree's pretty stable. So we're up on top of the pyramid now. This is a huge structure, and there's another looter's trench over here. With such close proximity to Khalak Mul, even though we're literally in the middle of the jungle, people still know about this. They come out, look, they just looted the whole pyramid. But there's another looter's trench over here. At least worth seeing. How much would you love to see how much would you love to see a jade mask just laying on the surface here? Come over here, you don't have to go down, but I'm gonna take a look. Definitely seeing another looter's trench here. No telling what kind of artifacts are lost. If this even was a tomb, that is, they could have done all this work and not got anything from it at all. Let me step down in here. Yeah. I'm not seeing anything that would make me think that this temple actually had an interior at one point in antiquity. I think that this was probably, oh God. I think that this was probably a ceremonial temple in its day. I don't think anybody actually lived here. Ah, those aloe vera plants do hurt. Oh man. And what we've looked at this whole video, careful there, that's hollow. What we've looked at this whole video, oh my God, there's another trench here. What we've looked at this whole video is just one pyramid, a plaza, and another one, with a few little mound houses in the foothills out there. I mean, this is a major site that has absolutely no excavation at all other than looting. I'm gonna check out this one. Yeah. You know, another thing about these looters' trenches is, you know, they never know if they're digging at the right place. Like in Spoo Hill, the tomb that we crawled down inside of, that was at the bottom of the pyramid. So sometimes maybe a king of a Maya site dies, and then they construct a pyramid literally over his grave, and his grave is on ground level. So I'm sure a lot of this this trench looting was done for nothing. Maybe they found pottery shards on the surface, maybe, but that'd be more likely to be seen at the bottom, near the base of the pyramid. Let's see if I can try to get back up here. Look how loose all these are. I can't even grab any of them. Oh my God. Okay, this is the one we saw earlier. Never mind. All right, let's go back down, see more of the city. So we were walking back through here the second time, and I don't know why I didn't think of this clean log right here. And I was thinking, what is this doing here? But then I thought, I bet you that this right here was a tree that grew into the side of the temple here. They cut down the tree, and when the tree falls, it lifts out half of the temple and rips it open. And then they start digging in, hoping to find something. And I bet you if we went all the way around, we would probably find logs of looters cutting it down with a chainsaw. So this is definitely done in modern times. And, cutting it down with a chainsaw, the tree falls out and rips the side of the pyramid out. So, oh man, I wish like people would log things, like whatever they found, log it anonymously somehow before they sell it on the black market, because I mean there could be artifacts found here. There could be Maya codices. I guarantee you all the codexes that Diego de Landa burned in Merida, the thousands, tens of thousands of codices that destroyed all the Maya history could be buried in tombs in places like this. And when they're sold on the black market, they're gone forever. Oh yeah, yeah. Una plaza, dos plazas, tres plazas.
1, 2, 3, 4 y hay una más hacia abajo, 5.
Wow.
No rebasan 25 metros las estructuras.
Incredible.
Este tiene diferente estilo de construcción. Es
¿Estilo?
una elevación y en la parte de arriba tiene terminación.
Really?
Aquella es como que más estilo petén. Es hacia arriba.
The stela that he's talking about, ask him if it's still there. No? Was it taken?
No se han encontrado. Posiblemente haya, pero están enterradas.
Oh, there could still be stela. Wow. Wow. Oh my God. Okay, so we came back down the pyramid that we were just on, and I got to see the first one that we were on from a different angle. Man, I don't know if it shows up the way it should on camera, but I mean, this is enormous, man. We're seeing it like what you guys are seeing on camera and what I'm seeing here for the first time. This is my first time seeing a city virgin, untouched like this, other than looters' trenches. When the great explorers came in the 1800s, early 1900s, this is what a lot of the state of the ruins looked like. You know what we should do? Is we should find an expedition to come out here for like a week and map this site. Be the first people to map it. I guarantee you that there's stelae here. Take good photos of them. Document everything that's here. Because if we don't do it, nobody's going to do it. The Maya train, that's what the Mexican government is focused on, is the Maya train. They're going to be focused on their big sites like Calakmul, which is, 40 kilometers that way in the jungle. A site like this is going to be left in ruins, going to be left to looters. And maybe if somebody came in and mapped it all, found something of significance, like, these pyramids, sounds bad to say, they're significant, but there's so many of them that there's not a lot that the government can do about it. But we go through the jungle and we find a stele or stela standing 10 feet tall here, telling the story of the city, and all of a sudden we learn the city's significance. Perhaps they had a war with Calakmul. Perhaps they were an ally to Calakmul, and they helped Calakmul defeat Palenque, or they were at Yaxchilan. That's really far from here. If that's proven, this whole place is going to get cleared out, and we're going to learn so much more. There's so many of these sites to be found. I mean, look here. There's another pyramid. Here's one right behind you. Here's another one over here. This is insane. And the only people who really know about this are the looters. Wow. Look at this one. Look, there's another one here. Look up there. Oh, man. Man, you're talking about an enormous city. I had no idea. Oh my God.
Not enough yet?
No, not at all. Look at the range of this structure. Somehow preserved in some way. So, yeah, this is a pretty well preserved, long range structure. Somehow, the foliage hasn't grown completely over it like we see at so many other sites. I don't quite understand that, but definitely late classic, like around 800 AD, maybe 700 AD, towards the end of Kalak Mol. It's just the kind of structures that we see around that time. It's around the end of the 10th or 11th Baktun, I believe. And it was a time when the Maya knew that they needed to change, so they were voluntarily migrating out of these areas, going up north and essentially building a new civilization, building what they didn't know would be the post-classic era. But this right here was built at the height, or right next to the height of the Maya. Like, I mean, this is a huge place. If we find a stela, if we come back and really do this place justice, if we find a stela, it puts this place on the map. And the only people who have really been here to do any work are just looters and local people who, you know, make some money by bringing people out here. But there's never been any actual work done here. Nothing good for the site. Okay, so I saw the structure from a bit further away. I thought I saw something over there. But immediately what was noticeable to me is the staircase. Look here. Look here. It's almost a straight line. See this first line? See the second line? See the third line? That's a staircase going all the way up the pyramid. But this tree has grown in the middle, and the roots have warped the staircase. But look how well preserved this one is. Wow. I mean, this is insane. To see a staircase, you know, you can make out the blocks. I can see it really well from here, actually.
You can see the red paint.
Really?
Come here. Get that rock.
Wow. Wow.
The one above it too. That's what I was looking at.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So all of these temples, believe it or not, they would have been absolutely covered with a bright red paint that the Maya extracted from cinnabar, and these pyramids would have been covered in that. I mean, it's hard to imagine looking at this, that this whole thing would have been red, bright red. It would have been completely cleared out. No trees here, no trees on it, of course. No trees around here. All of these are plazas. It's amazing. Wow. Look at, you can show part of this staircase. If you walk over here, you can see it really well. Look how well you can see this. That's the best preserved staircase I have personally seen. But actually, it's not the bottom of the staircase. That's the bottom. Wow. Man. Look at all this. All these structures here. This may be the tree. I mean, I'm not too familiar with ecology, but I think this is the tree that the Maya extracted cinnabar from. So some of the shades of red in here, that dark, burnt orange color, it would have been brighter when they laid it on the stones, but I believe this is where they extract the paint from. I believe. It's all over the Maya world, which makes sense because there are a ton of Maya cities and they were all painted red. $200 just to know where this site is. Pretty good exchange. Man, look at the size of this one. This is probably, I can't even keep count, maybe the 15th pyramid that we've seen here. And I feel like we've hardly looked at this site. I can't believe there's been no actual archaeology done here. This site is only given a name because some people know about it, and they know about it because looters have come and picked stuff out of it. Look at this stone real quick. Look at the preservation on that. That's a stair step. Wow. Okay, anyways. There's a lot to see here. I hadn't thought about this before I came out here, but somebody independent needs to come out and map this whole place and find something to give this place a real name. A stela, maybe multiple stelae, something of that sort to give this place a name, to give it a meaning, to stop all the looting that's going on here, so that the Mexican government will take this site seriously. Because I mean, there's just so many out there. If you don't find hieroglyphs to give the site its context, then there's just nothing that they can really do. And even then, I don't know if they'll do anything at all. But man, if we come out here and find something, we can make history. And I think this would be a great starting point in launching annual or double annual expeditions in the future. I just feel like if I keep walking around, and I can't because we're on our second to last day and we have to get back to the airport tomorrow. If I keep walking around, I'm going to find a stela. I think in the future, I really think in the future, before the Maya train blows this whole area up, we need to start coming out here on a regular basis, or at least come out here for a long time and try to find a stela of some kind to give the site context, find a hieroglyph of some kind, anything, and get it translated and figure out what this site really is and the significance of it, because it's enormous. If you guys like videos like this, please like and subscribe for more. I would love to be able to do this full time. And if I could do this full time, I would, and I'd make a ton of videos about it. And we'd see stuff that's never been seen
He's
before on
saying
YouTube.
like and subscribe.
For
That's
sure.
amazing.
Well, I'm Luke Caverns. I'm an anthropologist. I really love the Maya, and I want to make a difference in this field as an independent anthropologist in a way that hasn't been done before. So, thank you all so much for your support. Looking forward to seeing you back in the jungle.
I want to give a huge thank you to my good friend Eli Spellman, who helped me film this series, Jungle of Stone. We both got heat stroked and both got very sick during this expedition, and it was really hard filming this series, and so I hope that you guys enjoyed it. Eli, I think you did a killer job. And as dangerous as some of these places that we went were, I told Eli that as long as he's holding the camera and it's filming, the cameraman never dies. So Eli, thank you so much, man. I really, really appreciate your hard work and your sacrifice coming out there and stepping foot into the jungle with me. I cannot wait to break ground on our next project. Anyway, I'm Luke Caverns. I hope that you have all enjoyed this series of Jungle of Stone so far. This has been something that I have always wanted to do since I was a little kid. I come from a lineage of explorers dating back to the 1890s, and it's kind of surreal to just still continue to do what my family has always loved to do. This is a very personal journey for me, as much as it is wanting to be methodical and research archaeology and return with archaeological data and learn more about the Maya, the Olmecs, or any other given ancient culture. It's also a personal journey for me. This is my dream. There's nothing else that I could ever imagine spending my life doing. And all of you being here, just supporting me, there's nothing that I could ever say or do to adequately repay you. So thank you very much from the bottom of my heart. Thank you guys so much for watching this series. And this is just the beginning. It's overwhelming. So thank you guys all so much. I'm Luke Caverns, and we'll see you next time on Jungle of Stone.
Okay, so we're standing on top of the triple tower at Squeal. Freaking massive towers. We found a way to climb it. Now, there's an Arco Maya on the inside. Most of the time, I don't think that these inner chambers are necessarily indicative of Xibalba, the Maya underworld. This definitely is. Now, a lot of times on these pyramids, I don't necessarily think that the big, dense walls necessarily are symbolic of Xibalba, but I think this one definitely is. Super good. I'm glad you came, Eli.
Okay, thanks for being here. I'm signing off now. Thank you.
Tomb, wasn't it? Yes, it was. Definitely. Oh shit. Okay. Yep. Spiders down. Put it in. You gonna give me the front? Show. Bats. Scorpion spider somewhere just scurried off. This was definitely a tomb, my friends. So I'm pretty sure we're deep inside a tomb in Squeal that I never knew existed. This is one of the sites that I read about in a book from the 1930s, the complete encyclopedia of Maya ruins. And all the way at the top of the third tower, there was an Arco Maya way up on the side of the pyramid. And we scaled the side of it, crawled down in. This was definitely a tomb here at the bottom. It goes all the way to the top too, it's like oh man, crazy stuff. You only see this in the Maya world, that's for sure.